Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. Welcome to this amazing event held by the SimZone. It's going to be 1 hour of GT3 racing at the wonderful Misano World Circuit in Italy. My name is King Kodiak, otherwise known as Chris Buxton. I will be your commentator throughout this evening's event. On the production and pointing the cameras in the right direction and interceding when he has a chance to say a word is Steve Proudley. Welcome, Steve.
Good evening, my friend. Good evening, how are you? Good to be here, really excited. Misano, what a circuit. It's going to be really interesting this evening to watch these boys hustle, and maybe some girls, not quite sure. Just be politically correct there, but it's going to be interesting to watch them hustle these cars around Misano, because it's one of those sleeping giants, I think, is Misano, Chris. It's a technical circuit, pretty quick down that back straight where you've got to be very, very brave, shall we say, to get an overtake done, although it's very easy to get in the slipstream. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, and some interesting rules and regulations this evening regarding tyres and pit stops. Yes,
this isn't going to be an easy run at all for our drivers, of which over 20 drivers are joining us for tonight's session. The free practice session has just come to an end. We'll be heading down to qualifying, 15 minutes of it, very, very shortly. Now, this track, as you can see from these shots, for GT3 cars is really narrow. So, yeah, we're going to. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see a fair amount of door banging going on. Yeah, quite a lot of arguing about bits of track and what have you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and an hour-long session. Now, in GT3 cars, you might think, oh, they can deal with an hour. Yeah, hold that thought, because there's a mandatory pit stop involved. They must change tyres, of which they only have 2 sets of tyres for the event, not just the race. That's qualifying and for. Oh, that's no filming. Oh, we got to stop, Steve. You know, they just said no filming. They're on the scope. Never mind. So yeah, 2 sets of tyres for the event. They must change at some point during the race. So, you know, during the pit stop, they must change tyres, and no refueling. So anyone out there in a thirsty car or with a very heavy right foot, they're going to have to think about that. It's not just going to be who's got the heaviest right foot and who's the bravest on the brakes. Yeah, there's going to be strategy involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the cars that springs to mind as we just jump into qualifying now is definitely the Mercedes. It's quite a heavy car on fuel, as it were, when it wants to be. But it's it's going to be interesting, because I think some of those guys may have to just do some fuel saving if just to try and make that 65-minute time, to be honest.
I wonder if that's why there's only one of them in the field, car number 13 Van Horn. That is probably why there's only one of the German mark in the field. Look at the mixture though, we have got a great spread. Now, in GT3 racing, it's often the case where one mark rules all, and there's a sprinkling of others. But we've got Audi, BMW, Lamborghini, McLaren, Ferrari, Bentley, Aston. My goodness, yeah, there's a couple of Porsches, literally 2 Porsches out there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Ferraris I can see. It's almost equally spread, except for the one sole Mercedes out there. There is the Porsche we're looking at, Sam Bagnall for Indigo Lime Racing. Well, they're certainly matching up to that. Yarmo, I'm going to struggle with these names. I do apologise. Torvikoski. There we go. Car number 65. That is one of our Bentleys. I confess I'm a bit of a fan of the noise of the Bentley. It's a tricky beast to wrestle at the best of times, but I am biased. There's a few cars I really enjoy the exhaust note of. As we now switch to Belgian driver Thomas Morant. Again, hopefully pronounced it correctly, in the 137 McLaren. That is the car I'm most biased towards. I am a big fan of the McLaren, but of course I will give it as many people as I can equal shouting across the race. Now, I'm a little curious on who H at the top is. Who is car number 886? What surname have they given themselves, or are they simply known as H? That's very enigmatic. It's called Harry. Oh, okay. Well, they've remaining enigmatic. For the Belgian Audi Club team WRT's Brit, you can see from the flag there. We don't know his surname, so you will be simply known as Harry. Up first time on the board, that is Sam Bagnall, as we were looking at in the Porsche, in that lime green Porsche we were looking at, car number 38. Sets a 1:33.771. We'll see how representative that remains. Of course, people are going to want to push as much as they can, but again, they've got to be careful. They don't want to take too much life out of the tyres. They've only got 2 sets, essentially one qualifying set, and one, and then to go to race start, and then that's got to last a period of time before they then switch over during the race. These guys know how long they want to go. Some people will want to go halfway through. Oh, BMW, yes. Hello to you, sir. So Hungarian Attila Dents, again, hopefully pronounced that correctly, in the 89 BMW. What a fantastic livery on you. I'm liking the look of that. I'm a sucker for a good livery, must be honest. Quite a few times coming in, quite a bit of a spread of time. Looked like that. Harry, as we were looking at the 86, his steering looked quite digital. I wonder if he's on a pad, which is, of course, possible, and very brave of you to take part in a narrow race on a control pad. That's one of the joys of sim racing. It is open to any and all. That's that kind of halfway livery is obviously black and red on one side, white on the other. Was it Arrows that did that in Formula 1 a number of years ago? I'm trying to remember now.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I mean, I'm not sure if you're a little bit older than me and maybe can remember a little bit further back, Chris. Not quite sure really, but yeah, shots fired.
I'll take that one. I'm used to being the elder statesman of these things. Just looking in chat at that beautiful Cody voice. Thank you, Mr. McConnell. Hopefully your 24-hour or your stint in the 24-hour race went well. Nick, I'm assuming that's yours in the 55 Aston. That's a glorious beast. If you've ever been close to one of these when the loud pedal is dropped, my God, do they scream! That mighty V12 under the right foot. If that's the V12 Aston, if it's the V8 Aston, it roars at you. I think that one's either a 10 or a 12. I can't quite remember, I must be honest. So, yet to set a time in the 55 car. It's the top. Oh, we're up to 28 drivers now. And another Mercedes in the field. Again, brave man. On board with Jochen Camber. Not sure of what nationality. Using the 556 McLaren. He's just gone down to... Where is that flag? Now, I'm not 100% familiar with Misano. I haven't done an awful many commentaries, so again, I apologise if I get the corner names a little wrong. Where are you just coming out? I think that's the Tramonto. Yes, that's Calera Tramonto, that double edge right-hander. She's now fast right-hander of Caverne. And we'll be heading down towards Calera del Parro.
This has got to be the hardest braking zone on the track, though, Chris. And when I say hard, I don't mean pressure. I mean just getting it spot on. I mean you're coming down there absolutely flat out along that back straight there, through that slight right kink and into a slightly tighter right-hander where all the weight transfer of the car as you throw it into the right-hander, and you are almost lifting off. So the lift off oversteer, it just pronounces the instability of the car, and it just really can unsettle it. And if you see two cars battling during the race, which I'm sure we will, going side by side down there, it usually ends up in somebody exceeding track limits, hopefully keeping it in the right direction, but very much so quite often they do run wide out of there. And that's something you do have to watch out for this evening in Misano. Obviously the track cut system, usually within ACC, it's you get 3 warnings, and then on the 4th one it's a drive-through penalty, which can and will scupper somebody's race this evening, I'm sure, because track cuts, they are very easy to come by at Misano because there's lots of runoff areas, and it's very psychological. You see a runoff area, they tend to get abused, but yeah, the drivers need to be very, very careful with that one tonight. The other thing they need to be careful, just for those that are not familiar with ACC, there is obviously automatic penalties for speeding in the pit lane as well, depending on the severity of the the infringement, how fast you're going down the pit lane. You can get a stop-go stop go penalty, or you can get another drive through. So it can be quite harsh, and that is automatic. There's nobody sat there watching them do that. That's just something that the simulation picks up. So when they come to do their pit stops, they're going to have to hit that pit limiter board just right, get it down to the speed, and not take the pit limiter off before they exit past the boards which tell them it's safe to do so. So yeah, there's a few ways of getting tripped up other than going off the track this evening. So it's lots to think about for the drivers, lots to concentrate on, lots to watch, and I'm sure we're going to get some good racing. But qualifying's got 6 minutes left to go. We've got Bagnall with a 1:33.4, and he's just a good 10th clear of second place at the moment, and we've got McCall in third with who's further 2/10 down the road. So qualifying is looking pretty close at the moment, and there are a few guys still out on track, still trying their best, and with just under 6 minutes to go, it's definitely worth going. And getting some laps in, but it's worth mentioning, I believe they're on limited tyre sets this evening, Chris, so they've only got 2 tyre sets for the whole event, if I understand it correctly.
That's my understanding as well. So yeah, they've got to be careful on how much life they take out of the tyres. It really depends on how far they want to go when the car is fully laden with fuel, because right now it would be assumed that the fuel tanks are pretty light, but they cannot refuel during the race. So they really have got to think about how hard they push the right foot. As we now look at fellow Italian Filippo Ambrosi in the 717 Lamborghini. That's a big old beast, the Lambo. That's not shy of screaming its way around the circuit. Now, beautiful noise it makes as well. The 717 car chasing. That's one of the Bentleys. There's a strange livery that's got that panel right in the front. It looks like it's run over a piece of paper. It looks like somebody's got stuck on the front grille of that bright blue Bentley. I can't quite see the number on that, so I'm not sure who it is he's chasing. He's getting a big old slipstream. Oh, goodness me, as he was coming into that double right-hander of Tramonto. Probably has been held up there. He's got 1.5 tenths to try and find to get the pole time. Yeah, he's now weaving, so if he was on a hot lap, he's bailed on that one now. But yeah, Sam Bagnall at the top of the tree, still in the Porsche 1:33.450, so he's improved on the time since we last looked at him. Look at that, 300ths of a second, not even that, between the Lambo and the Bentley. 3 different marks in the top 3. Good to see. And then, oh, look at that, just 12 thousandths of a second between Cooper and McCall, another Bentley, and the lead Mercedes. So again, the Merc, as we were saying earlier, Steve, is going to have to be careful on how much right foot they put on, because that is a bit of a thirsty beast. And then just 3 thousandths between Roscoff and Morant in the lead Ferrari and lead McLaren cars, 8 and 137 respectively. Very, very close. That is great to see. There is Sam Bagnall in the Indigo Line Racing. Again, that very distinctive Porsche. Oh, wow. That's...
yeah.
Didn't see that on the camera, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he saw it in good time. It pulled over quite rightly, but yeah, that was a shock.
It was indeed, and actually, just to mention, he's 4 tenths up currently on this lap, so he's looking to make some improvements. As long as he hasn't invalidated the lap at any point and gone over those track limits, this could be a big improvement. He's pushing fast and hard on the exit there of the final turns. He comes across the line. He does indeed improve, and he's now almost got half a second advantage at the top of the pile with just 3 minutes left to go. So that's going to be a fair old mountain for someone to climb there. Half a second. That's a good margin, that, Chris. That's a good lap from Bagnall.
Yeah, but Cooper has also improved, just a tenth behind the new time, 1:33.153, the new pole time set by Sam Bagnall, literally as we're watching him, and then Cooper in the treble 9 Bentley has almost matched it, and there is Antonio Antonelli, again, this is the longest team name, excellent, much improved, in the 54 Bentley, so he's 4th position, just 4 tenths down from that mighty pole time. That's improved by almost a second during the session. They only have 2.5 minutes left to get their times in. We're seeing 9 cars within a second, or further 8 cars, I should say, within a second of Sam Bagnall's time. And then you've got another, half a dozen, slightly more, yeah, about half a dozen cars within a second of each other there. So the whole field spread, in the 23 cars we can see on the tower is less than 5 seconds. Expect that to come down. There is Ryan Cooper in the very multicoloured treble 9 Bentley, still pressing on by the look of it. He hasn't really got enough time to come in and making the adjustments. He is going out there and wow, and chucking the Bentley in to the right-hander. They're now into that very heavy braking zone. Like you were saying, very awkward braking zone. They're trying to brake and turn at the same time. And that Bentley is a big old beast. It's a tricky thing to slow down to the best of times. He's coming up to the end of the lap.
He's a 10th up. He's a 10th up.
Oh, and that's all he is behind as Ambrosi.
Oh!
That's the pole time from Ryan Cooper. Just 27 thousandths of a second, and Bangles in the pits. He will not have time to come out and improve. So the pole time in the death of the session has been stolen by Ryan Cooper. Nicely done.
Yeah, Antonelli, he's literally going round. He's getting time. He's got time in hand. He's round about a 10th up, but he's not going to be. I don't think he's got enough to catch the top 3. I think he might make an improvement, but it's looking pretty much fixed now where they are. I'm looking at my timing screens, and there's not very many drivers. Certainly none of the guys really in the top 10, apart from Antonelli, who's now backed out with a lap by the looks of it. Are going to improve. So I think pretty much that's almost qualifying sorted there, with Cooper on top there with a 1:33.126, and Bagnall literally 0.027 behind. Very, very close, very unlucky, but some great driving there and some good timing to get those laps in when they did. We're just going to disappear for 30 seconds and we will be right back shortly. Chris, can you jump into... Yeah, all set, mate.
So what a qualifying session we have had then at this wonderful Misano circuit in the rural areas of Italy. Beautiful cars, beautiful circuit, and the times are so close throughout the field. I think we're in for an amazing hour of racing at this beautiful circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, the cars are all now lining up on the grid. We don't think we've got time for a grid walk this evening, which is something I like to normally do, but just with 1 minute 40 seconds till these guys start their formation lap, looks like they'll be doing a full formation lap this evening and then coming back round to take the green lights and get us underway. I mean, this is going to be absolutely awesome. As I say, there's some that Bentley on the front row. I mean, that livery deserves to be in pole position, doesn't it, Chris? It's absolutely awesome. That's my favourite car, I think, on the grid, and a lot of work gone into that. Looks really good.
Yeah, I'm sort of looking through the field. We didn't get to see everybody, of course, but there's some very some cracking looking livers, some certainly very bright ones. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Who's in 10th? That is McCall in the Mercedes. That's quite a eye-catcher, isn't it? That very bright green, and then right next to him is Suisi in that yellow and white Ferrari. But look at the mixture we've got. Bentley, Porsche, Lambo, Bentley, Merc, Ferrari, McLaren. You get down to 8th and 9th before you have a pair of anything. That's the pair of BMWs of Danks and Borchardt. Then rounding out the top 10 is that second Mercedes. There are now at least 3 of them, with Van Horn, who I see has a bit of support in the chat, down in 23rd. But I mean, qualifying isn't the be-all and end-all in an endurance race and a longer race such as we've got. But with especially with the strategy going on, you know, as we've mentioned, they have to pit at some point in the race. They must change tyres, and there's no refueling. It's that latter part, I think, is really going to dictate how the finishing order is really going to come down. Because, you know, people may be quick at the beginning, but if they have to really fuel save towards the end, they're going to have a hard time of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to be a real strategy because, you know, if there is any fuel saving to be done, and it's a while, I'll be honest, since I've driven in ACC, but if they do have to do any fuel saving, it's going to be difficult to do, depending on obviously where they are in the field and how close they're battling. The last thing you want to be doing is having to fuel save to just to finish the race and potentially cost yourself positions, because believe you me, I know when you do turn those maps down to fuel save, it does cost quite a lot of performance and some straight line speed, and definitely the punch out of the corners. The car that springs to mind that may struggle is the Mercedes, but the car on screen at the moment, the Bentley, I think that, believe it or not, being one of the biggest cars in the sim, it is actually one of the best on fuels and on fuel, and has the biggest fuel tank. So that one will definitely, that one can do around about an hour and 20 minutes.
Nice. And with how close the grid is as well, if you're having to fuel save, that's going to hurt. So really keep an eye out for that. I love the fact that when you know, when the timer hit 0, Ryan got off and no one moved. So a bit of confusion going on there. We see a few cars returning to their positions. Has obviously been a little bit of well, the game is a little forgiving when it comes to you know, this kind of procedure. You can see cars are overtaking one another, going through each other. That's fine. That's just ACC allowing, you know, there to be no contact during this rolling start phase. They'll reform the 2x2 by the time they they get to, it'll be probably at the Delgado turn. That very tricky braking zone is round there somewhere. They'll reform the 2x2, and it can be difficult to maintain. I've seen formation lamps go wrong when reforming that 2x2. I've made the mistake in the 2x2 line heading towards the finish line, and it's embarrassing, yes, but hopefully these guys have practiced that. They know what they're doing. Lots of tyre warming going on from the yellow Lamborghini. That red Merc looks definitely ready to go. He wants to get on with it there and then, by the look of it. That white Ferrari reminds me of the kind of Team Sky cycling livery. Oh, that's right, because it's a Sky livery.
Hey!
That reminds me of it. I didn't see that until they came into camera. Oh, goodness. Well, at least I was on the right line.
Absolutely, mate. You are switched on, and Mr. Observer this evening. Well done. But no, it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting. The start, obviously, who can just hit the green lights just right and be applying the power just at the right time. Because again, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but ACC monitors the starts, and if you're out of position at the start, you hit the throttle and you're going too fast before those lights go green, you can get a drive-through penalty again. So it's going to be imperative. But I'm going to hand over to you now, because they are about to come round that final corner and queue up, line up, and be ready to take this green light.
Here we go then. So it's all come down to this. They've done their practice, they've done the qualifying. 1 hour of Misano is awaiting our field of drivers. Here they come, these glorious GT3 cars, ready to rumble. Steve proudly in control of cameras. I'm in control of the microphone, so you will hear me shouting at you. And we are away then. Who is going to be bravest on the brakes? That Porsche's had a cracking start. Not a great start from Cooper. Is that pole time going to all come to nothing? He's down the inside line. The yellow Lamborghini, I think it was, just straying a little bit far. Cooper hanging on to the start. Oh, no trouble! Well, they certainly are allowing contact now as we've got cars sideways, and oh my goodness, that is chaotic. That is the nature of a very closely packed field. We'll see who it is that's fallen through right the way down the field. Ryan Cooper is, I think the tower will sort itself out. Ryan Cooper is still actually leading. He's not down in 20th. There we go. So it's still Bentley from Porsche. It's now Bentley from Porsche from Mercedes. Who's that? So that's McCall. What a start from that red Merc. He was some way down. He's had an absolutely belting start in the 44, the South African for McCall Speed JR. Absolutely brilliant start from Junior McCall, and a bit of a gap forming there between himself and Porsche in the lead BMW. But wow, a catastrophic start for quite a number of cars. I imagine we're going to see a fair amount of action in the pits towards, well, probably towards the end of this lap. We'll see. Some people may just opt to continue running. There is Attila Danks. He's down in 6th position. Not a great... Oh, no, beg your pardon. He's up to 6th position. The BMW started 8th and 9th, didn't they? So he's gained a few. He's got Morant right ahead of him, the 137 McLaren. Lovely looking. Well, they're all pretty nice looking machineries. Let's be honest about it. But Cooper is fending off the advances of Sam Bagnall. There he is in the Indigo Line Racing Porsche. Held the pole spot for most of the qualifying session, but right at the death of the session was when Ryan stole that particular position. And really not far behind is McCall in that lead Mercedes. There he is. So about 6.5 cents when they come over the line. That Porsche's hustling the Bentley already. Now, it's very easy for the drivers to kind of forget their strategy and let the red mist descend, so to speak. But at the moment, everyone seems to be behaving themselves. We'll hopefully check in with those that have had that big incident towards the beginning of the race. We will see that surprising gap there between McCall and Bourchard. There's 1.8 seconds when they came out of the line. That's mind you, Bourchard's got a lot of company there. He's Morant in the McLaren, Danks in the BMW, as mentioned. The lead Audi is at Campo Mattia. There is a Joachim Camber in the second of the McLarens, the 556 car, chasing. Again, I hope I pronounced this correctly. Piscatelli, beg your pardon, in the 67 Ferrari. Of course, the native Italian sticking to the Italian heritage, driving an Italian car on an Italian track. Love it. As the brown McLaren is, again, just really piling the pressure on. There's not really going to be an awful lot of room to make a move down there at Curva del Caro, but keeps the pressure on nonetheless. Now people are going to start to settle into their rhythms. So let's see then, as they start to kind of just keep themselves under control. We've had the early incidents. Did we have anybody come into the pits, Mr. Brownlee? Did you see? Oh wow! As just as I asked that question, Joachim Camber, a bit too late on the brakes. So the Belgian in the McLaren did well to avoid the Ferrari. Now, I would say the Ferrari would probably brake to the right time as the McLaren went really, really deep in avoidance from Piscatelli to avoid incident. Well driven there from the Belgian, but no impact there. So he manages to continue on his motor. Anyways, he's on very, very wide. Flashing the lights from the Ferrari. He's not happy about something in front of him. Not entirely sure who that is. He's closed in. Oh, that's a Porsche being lapped. The 21 car. That's what he was flashing the lights at. So that'll be one of our first. Well, there's a wandering McLaren as well off the field. So that's a few people that have gone through the pits and now are very, very much out of position. Not entirely sure who they are, sadly, but it's a couple of casualties of the first lap. That is the nature of the beast. But they're not out of it yet, believe it or not. We still have an hour of racing. Anyone that's done any form of endurance racing will know that it's never done by the it's never all done and dusted. As we look at the replay of the start,
indeed, this is the start. I just thought I'd give us a helicopter cam view of that start and just see if we can work out what went wrong, because there was quite a lot of cars involved, Chris, there.
Oh wow, that's where it went wrong for the yellow Lambo. 2 deep into zone one, then oh dear, a bit of a tap there. So that's where things started to go wrong. The yellow Lamborghini's hit by the Sky Ferrari, and then he just all cascades from there. Really, my goodness me, that's as simple as say. So it was the yellow Lambo that started it all off. You know, I mean, we never would have seen that from the camera angle that we saw. Looking up front, though, Bagnall is closing back in on Ryan Cooper. That gap has creeped back down again. Now just under 4 tenths of a second. There it is. Look at the gap they got themselves between themselves and McCall. So that's 1.8 seconds you can see on the tower. Now the tower updates itself at the start-finish line, so it's not 100% live. But That's a fair gap. Last time we looked at these three, they were almost equidistant, around about 7 tenths apart. But that Porsche is deciding he doesn't want to lose ground to the Bentley. So, I mean, fair play if he feels that he said, oh, I beg your pardon, he does actually update himself a few times in the lap. So, sorry, I had that one wrong, but the times that we were looking at initially were from the start-finish line. They've now gone through the end of Sector 1. And that Mercedes does seem to be falling back. It's falling back into the clutches of Borchardt in the lead BMW. Denks has actually gone up into 5th position now. So the two BMWs together again, although they're about 1.8 seconds apart, give or take. That Porsche means business, it looks like, at the front.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really pushing on now, and I think it's a case of just settling into a rhythm. Some drivers will settle into a rhythm quicker than others. Also letting the temps come up in the tyres, the brakes and everything, and the Porsche will be a good machine round here, and he's certainly hustling the Bentleys. You can see now he's as close as he's ever been since the first lap. Now he's really on the back of the Bentley, and this is where Cooper's going to have to start really just driving his lines, hitting those apexes, getting the braking points just right, getting on the power when he can, and trying not to be distracted by that very lime green Porsche in his rear view mirror now, that's going to be really hustling him. And the Porsche is going to be phenomenal through the corners and getting out of the corners, but that Bentley is going to have the straight line speed. I don't think the Porsche is going to have the legs down the back straight that they're going to come onto in the next couple of corners. And I say back straight tongue in cheek because there's a big nasty right hander halfway down it, but it is still absolutely flat, and we're going to see now as they're really pushing down there now, and just see if the Porsche can hang on in the slipstream. I don't think he's going to get a pass, but he's definitely he's all in there for hanging on and seeing what he can do. And you can see the Bentley's just extended a little bit of an advantage there, but as they come into that braking zone to the right hand there, the Porsche closes back up again, and he's going to close right up now in the heavier braking zone. And it's basically just that concertina, isn't it? It's where the track plays to the strengths, or the car plays to its own strengths at the certain parts of the track, and really comes into its own. And it's just showing the two very different characteristics of these two cars.
Absolutely, yeah, and now Ryan could play the strategy game here. If he feels that he's losing time by defending against the Porsche, he could choose to just let him go. We've got just under the hour now, so we're not very far into the race. And if Ryan feels like he's using a bit too much time, or losing too much time trying to defend against the bright Porsche, the bright 38 Porsche, he may just opt to let him go. And that's the back view from our race leader. So he may well just be racing his lines. It could be that the Bagnall's not interested in trying to make the pass at the moment. He wants to stay there, maybe save a bit of fuel, staying in the slipstream of the Bentley ahead of him. So we don't know. We have no idea what strategies these drivers are running. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, they could be waiting. Obviously he's going to Bagnall's going to keep pressuring Cooper now, and he's doing an awesome job there in the braking zones, closing right up, just getting close enough without touching, keeping the pressure on. But obviously with the pit window, there's going to be that strategy there that if Bagnall he can't get past Cooper and he sits there, is Bagnall going to hang it out there as long as he can, so that Cooper can get some clean air and put some laps in and overtake him in the pit stops, as it were. Who knows what's going to go through these guys' heads, but there's going to be tactics there for sure. And it's also, don't count McCall out of it. He's closing up now. That time is coming down because these two are so close together. Because take nothing away from Cooper, he's driving a fantastic race so far in these early stages, 5-6 laps in, but he is going ever so slightly slower now on his lap times. Not a lot, but just enough that McCall is still in touching distance, 2.2 seconds back down the road at the moment, but that could close up very soon if these two start fighting any harder.
Absolutely, and that again, you're now seeing the Porsche start to make himself known in the Bentley's mirrors. So we are focusing on quite a bit on this battle. There's quite a few battles together. That's the one I was going to point out next. The two BMWs are right with one another, and it doesn't look like Attila Dengs wants to give Thorsten Borchardt any kind of breathing space. 0.2 of a second. Now these M6s are big old beasts. They roar themselves through the track, and yeah, being that close for quite a few laps, and they've been that close for a little while now. Denks has been closing in on Borchardt for a few laps, but for the last certainly 2 laps, they've been glued to one another. So the 89 car, trying to get an opportunity on the inside line, as Borchardt looked like he was a tad wide there. I don't think Danks is wanting to stay there. Oh, and Busatini does not want to stay behind the 65 either. As Torvi Kosti's he's been hustled into going wide. He's going to lose 2-3 positions here. Is that entire chain going to get? Yes, he has. That's how dangerous a mistake is at this point in time. Is the inset is the 2 BMW battle we were just looking at. But look at this. My goodness, that's Camper Mattia that is trying to make it. Oh no, he's gone. The 99 car has spun. The McLaren's gone wide in avoidance. That's Camber. And the 556 McLaren has made the avoidance move. The 99 Audi has done a perfect pirouette now behind this entire pack. My goodness me, that got very, very lively. But what a scrap going on, and that is a scrap for overall. That's 8th, I think it is, that they're scrapping for.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, these guys are going to fight for every single position, and rightly so. You know, they're pushing hard. It's the early part of the race. This is where the tyres, I'd say they're at the best, but let's not forget these are the tyres that they were probably on in qualifying. So they're not brand new tyres. They've got some hard laps on them, but yeah, definitely pushing hard at the minute. But the cars will be the heaviest with fuel as it stands at the moment, because remember, they're not allowed to put any fuel in the pit stops. So they'll have started with enough fuel to complete the 65 minutes, or at least if they've got their sums right, they have. So very interesting. But that BMW, it's a like for like, isn't it? It's just down to the drivers and their techniques and their style, and absolutely nailing those apexes. And at the moment, Denks is really struggling to make any headway. He's certainly sticking it in there, and he's making his presence felt. He's really trying to push, and he's trying to apply enough pressure, and that's how a lot of overtakes are crafted. It's not so much that you're you know, XYZ number of tenths of a second faster per lap. It's just about forcing that driver in front to make that mistake, just unsettle him a little bit, take advantage and get the job done. And that's what Denks is having to do now. He's having to try and hang on to the back as much as he can, really put the pressure on, really push that other BMW around the track, and he's just got himself a little bit of breathing space. Denks has just dropped off in that final sector a little bit, so it might be just variation in setup, it might be a variation in driver styles where the driver's more comfortable, as we see Denks now closing back up again through the first sector here, through the tight twisty stuff. He really seems to have got that BMW handling well, and he's using more of the track as well, it would appear, Chris. He's certainly running out to those curbs there and trying to straighten out those corners.
Yeah, Borchardt is really feeding the pressure there from Denks. And look in the background, that's the 137 McLaren. He's lost a little bit of time in this lap, but he had closing. Oh God, how close that is again between the two BMWs. Just saw Thorsten Borchardt just go out of the shot there, so he's not too far down the road. If he made a mistake, he could be caught by these two warring BMWs. But they must be slowing each other down, fighting this hard. And there's a backmarker involved in there as well, just ahead of Borchardt, I think it is. Oh, sorry, ahead of McCall. So if the backmarkers will always try and do their best to get out of the way, but invariably they are going to be kind of caught up in the fracas. Now there's the lead battle, and there is that backmarker dutifully getting out of the way. Very nicely done. Now the lead battle, it does look like what we're not seeing a great deal of, unlike the two BMWs, is a lot of dive down the inside, dive down the outside, jinking out from the slipstream. The 38 Porsche, Sam Bagwell, is just quite content to stay there at the moment. He's playing the long game, and I reckon Cooper knows that, because we're not seeing any defending of fresh air from the Bentley either. Now, if he felt that much under pressure, he'd be defending for all his. Oh, get out the way, number 911. That's B Racing. Excellent. That's the 23rd place Porsche 911 undercar 911. Oh, get out of the way! Oh, he was caught slightly. Whether he knew the leaders were coming out, I would imagine he did, but he's of course running his own race. He has to get out of the way at some point. Of course, he mustn't hold the leaders up, but he was slightly caught in the middle of a corner there, so he couldn't have done too much. They mustn't just jump out into oblivion. That's the worst thing to do, because they're going to potentially create a hazard doing that. But slightly caught at the wrong time there, but the leaders don't seem too bothered by that. McCall is behind them, we'll see, and my goodness, no! What a perfect timing, Mr. Bradley, as Denks went for the move, but it's gone in you only went in too deep. Borchardt's not happy about that one. There goes the McLaren of Moran. Now is Denks going to let Borchardt through? I think he was. Yeah, he's relinquished the position. No, he hasn't. I beg your pardon. The 89 BMW. Oh, yes, he has. Excuse me. So, yeah, Borchardt now ahead, and of course the tower won't update until they're back round again. So, yeah, that's a flash the lights back from Danks. Yeah, in apology, he went in too hot, and Borchardt then trying to take the line was met with the nose of his adversary, but that has allowed 9-3, and we have our first penalty on the board, or certainly the first penalty we've seen. It's Roshkov in the number 8 Ferrari, a drive-through penalty. That will be speeding in the penalty because I think he's already in there, or he's serving it very, very quickly. Do you see what the penalties are for, Steve?
That will be for track limits. That's a very early one for track limits. So
very early one,
sort of 15 minutes in roughly, but it's yeah, that'll be for track limits with the standard drive-through. I don't believe we've got live marshals, live stewards this evening. So yeah, that is just, he will have exceeded the track limits a total of 4 times. When he's completed that drive-through, now he will come out of the pits. That counter will reset, and he's got 3 more free passes before he gets another drive-through. It could be a busy evening though, with only 15 minutes gone.
He's going to have to adjust how he drives, unless he's going to be visiting the pit every few laps. Oh dear. Well, hopefully he's able to get that one back under control as Bagnall and Cooper continue their do-si-do up front. I mean, they're 4.4 seconds ahead of McCall, so they're not under immediate pressure. This is going to be an interesting one. This is now a battle for 4th. Now, how are the BMWs going to handle that? When it's just 2 of you in the duel, you kind of know what each other are going to do. I'm a little quicker than you here, I'm a little slower than you there. And you get an idea for lines. Oh, as Borchardt's gone very deep. And that's, is that going to open the door for the 89? That's a backmarking it up for 911 Porsche. That's racing getting out of the way. That's a strange sentence to ever say. Oh, is that a move again? Oh, a flash of the lights there from the 89. I think he kind of realised that one wasn't going to work. But he's determined, isn't he? But look at the time that's cost him. Thorsten Borchardt is doing a brilliant job of defending pretty much for all he's worth. And Moran has now got the opportunity to try and sprint away from these two, because, again, Danks isn't playing the long game. He wants to get that position now. He wants to get up the road as quickly as he can before we start seeing the pits going on. The pits are going to go. Roshkov is still in the pits, apparently. He's been in there a while. So, unless he did speed in the pit lane, when we don't know, we didn't see the incident happen. There is Dank, the Hungarian, for the 89 BMW, on board with aforementioned driver. Wow, as we're seeing Borchardt's feeling the pressure. You're seeing the amount of defensive moves he's having to do. You can tell he's really feeling the pressure now, especially after the incident that happened here only a few laps ago. And wow, Danks again adjusting his line. I'm not sure he was anticipating Borchardt breaking what he did there, but either way, he's really hustling, trying to get through. But at the moment, as we said earlier, this track is very difficult to overtake on.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Danks is really hustling, because you saw on that corner that preceded the straight there, he took a lot wider entries, forcing Borchardt to really defend, take a tighter line and get a slower run onto the straight. So potentially Danks he's trying to gain an advantage for the straight, but he's not working yet, and they've still got that back marker. Is it back? No, that's not.
No, that's Moran.
No, that's for position. So this is going to be a 3-way battle very, very soon, and it's going to get very tasty indeed. I think you know, with the McLaren being stronger at different parts of the track, and 2 BMWs closing in now, this is going to get very tasty, and it's Borchardt that's going to be under real pressure here, because he's going to have to attack to keep Danks behind him. I think the fact that these two seem to have found a little bit more pace than that McLaren ahead.
Completely. So you will see how that transpires as the race goes on. I think Danks, it's going to be one of these things. As soon as we look away, you know Danks is going to be doing something. I'm also looking at the battle for 9th between Piscatini, Camper Mattia and Torvikowski. They're in a great 3-way fight for 9th position, but you know, if you look away too long from, and there is, thank you very much, Camera, the inset is the battle I've just mentioned, whilst we keep our main focus on this fight for what is technically 5th, as Moran is kind of getting away from them. That battle's now in the inset. We now look at Piscatini. That is really fending off the Audi. That's the lead Audi, the number 99 car. My goodness me, Camber Mattia means business. He goes on the inside line. There's contact between the Ferrari and the Audi. They've both spun, and through goes the Bentley. That's Torvikowski through. And oh my goodness, look at this one now, an army of cars. That is the Aston. That's the lead Aston, I think it is, of Williams, the 797 car. My goodness me, it's kicking off down there, and Dex is still trying his best to usurp his fellow BMW of Thorsten Borchardt. That McLaren is just like, well, yeah, you carry on. I'm just going to dance down the road as we cut back now. Piscatelli down to 11th behind the Aston. Oh, wow, he's going to have to slot back into position. Oh, well, again, the Ferrari getting very, very close to the Aston. Actually, those two BMWs are the only two cars of the same mark that are even vaguely close. The next Ferrari down the line is Apprentice. Oh, okay, the Treble Six guy, he's only 2 cars back. But there's the Lambo of Ambrosi. Is he going to think about the inside manoeuvre at the last turn? No. 4-way fight for what is now 10th position. Going on, Williams, Piscatelli, Ambrosi, Apprentice, and that is Apprentice in the Triple Six blue Ferrari that's trying to make a move on the fellow Italian mark of the 717 Lambo. Good God, it's an endurance race, boys. Calm down. You need to keep your tyres going. And there's the brown McLaren of Camber. We saw him earlier on. He had an early disaster. Oh, and the BMWs are side by side as well. As I just cast my eyes to Denks and Borchardt side by side for 5th position. And finally, the 89 BMW has usurped Borchardt. That's taken a while, but he's finally managed to do it. Can he now sprint off after Morant?
Well, yeah, he got that move done. I mean, everything was going on all at once there, and absolutely still going on all at once. They're down in the picture-in-picture there, but the BMW now, it's going to be interesting to see now that Denks has got ahead of Borchardt. Yeah, like I said, proof is in the pudding. Can he get away? Can he stretch his legs? Can he close that McLaren down? Lots of ifs, cans and questions to be answered, and I'm sure he's going to answer them. As it's hard to say, is he stretching away? He's got a little bit of a safety margin, and if you remember back, the early part of the lap was where he seemed to close back up on Borchardt. If he lost any ground, he seemed to be quicker through the twisty stuff, and again, yeah, he's definitely pulling away a little bit, and he's definitely closing in on that McLaren, Chris. It's not going to be long, I don't think, before he's pushing for that 4th place.
I reckon so. Oh, trouble for the 717. He's come in before. Oh, and he's clouted the pit wall. Oh, the pit window's open. No, that's not trouble there at all. Beg your pardon. So the pit window is open for 20 minutes. So 20 minutes of the race gone, 20 minutes of the pit window, and then the final 20 minutes of the race is roughly how it's broken up. So some people coming in very, very early. There's Ambrosi and Camber that have come in. There's our top 3 in that shot. Again, Bagnall is just biding his time against Cooper. Again, Ryan is just he's not defending fresh air. I think he realises what's going on. He may well have done a number of races with Bagnall before. I personally am not familiar with these drivers, so I don't know what their history is. But Bagnall is doing a great job of just staying nailed to the rear wing of that Bentley. And but he's not trying to force the issues. Not trying to. I'm sure the opportunity presented itself. He would jump through into the lead. But you're also seeing that Cooper is really pushing hard. You saw him use every available pixel of the rumble strip on the outside of turn 1. So he's not biding his time. He's pushing hard, but he's not defending anyway. He's not. I'm sure he's feeling the pressure, but he's not doing anything to try and open the door. He's just holding his line as if Bagnall wasn't there, and Bagnall is just enjoying the fact that he's probably using a little bit less fuel. That could well come to his advantage. We will see. Quite a few people in the pits. Fears in the Audi fight, in the Treble 5 Audi, has come in as well. Sanchez in the 79 McLaren has come in. So quite a few people choosing to pit early. And well, I mean, the tyres should last. Piscatelli is in the 67 Ferrari. You can see the P next to their name indicating they're in the pit lane. Not always a pit stop for what they're in there for. We saw the drive-through penalty being served earlier on. So this, of course, is going to shuffle up quite a bit of the order. I'm not surprised not everybody's come in. I personally would kind of aim for halfway in the race, so that. But then, those tyres are fairly dead by then, because bearing in mind, these are the same tyres they qualified on. So, they're not going to be doing too well for too much longer. Oh, wow, as we look at the replay here, this is the move between the two BMWs. So it was a mistake then from Borchardt that opened the door for Denks. So Denks now on the outside line, he's going to cut back underneath. Yep, there he goes. He's forced the mistake. So Borchardt, he was too wide coming into the right-hander. into the left-hander, beg your pardon, and then was forced into a deep move into the right-hander, and that's a stop-go penalty for first. That's speeding in the pit lane, isn't it?
Absolutely,
he's just been in.
Yep, that's it. It's absolutely he's either not hit the limiter soon enough or released it too early on the way out. So definitely, unfortunately, that's another visit to the pits, and effectively, it's another pit stop. It's another 30 seconds stationary in your pit box. Thank you very much. So down in 22nd, I think that car could find itself way back very soon.
And that was a wayward Mercedes there that we just saw being passed. I mean that's a very effective way of getting out of the lead. It's a tad overkill. There he is, the orange car behind. So we just saw him rejoining the track there, but nowhere near the leaders. That's going to be painful for first off, because it's only one mandatory stop needed, so no one else other than penalties will be coming in again. And yeah, he's going to be stationary for 30, and that will feel like an age, being stationary for 30 seconds whilst the race continues. That's a bit of a shame. Now, I think he did that on the way out because he was in the pits, and there he is again. He's coming in to serve it. You only have a short period of time. What's the limit for serving them?
It's 3 laps. 3 laps to serve your penalty, and then it becomes a disqualification, I believe.
Yes, so he's done that one straight away, and fair play to him. So the battle for the lead, or the dancing for the lead continues between Cooper and Bagnall. McCall in third, where he's been pretty much all day. 9 seconds behind the leaders now. So he's kind of minding his own business, probably taking your earlier advice on board with the thirsty nature of that Mercedes, and just biding his time, or maintaining decent pace. It's not quite that of the leaders. Again, bear in mind that could bite Cooper and Bagnall back later. We don't know. Here is Morant in that 137 McLaren. Wow, they've left Denks quite some way behind. Borchard quite some way behind. Bear in mind how long those two BMWs had been together for. Borchard is now 3 seconds behind this battle. You just about see him at the back of the shot. This is the rear camera from the 137 McLaren of Morant, Thomas Morant. So he took the opportunity to claim that 4th position from the Warring Beamers. And wow, Denks is not wasting any time in hustling the McLaren now. A little bit of a gap between them. Let's see what it is. That's going to be about 0.4 of a second or so, as it was last time. Not far off. 3.5 seconds. 3.5 tenths of a second, excuse me, between the McLaren and the Beamer. So yeah, Denks means business. He wants to be pushing on towards the podium spots. He's 5 odd seconds behind the podium 3, but that could come his way as later on, as we are fast approaching halfway in the race.
Yeah, very much so. And then the guy that's impressing me at the moment, well, 2 guys that really impressing me is Cooper and Bagnall. Cooper's not going over defensive. Like you say, we don't know the history of the drivers. This is our first event with these drivers, so we know nothing really, basically. But Cooper and Bagnall are driving a pretty much a perfect race. They're not really impeding each other. They're just driving their lines. They're getting things done. Bagnall's just applying the right amount of pressure. He's just staying there in the slipstream. He's keeping that Porsche tight to the rear end of that Bentley without too close. He's not making any mistakes, but he's keeping Cooper honest and making him very, very aware. Cooper's doing a fantastic job of soaking up that pressure, doing what he needs to do. We did see a little bit of we've seen a couple of little wide lines here and there, but nothing that's going to cost him any serious amount of time, and certainly nothing that's letting Bagnall get that Porsche alongside and past. But it's going to be interesting now, because the pit window obviously is winding down, but just under 30 minutes, and we just see Denks there making a move from the McLaren, and he's getting that job done. He's done it. He's got down the inside there, forced the door open, and I think, will that BMW, it's got the inside line down to this next right-hander. I think he's going to get the job done.
Yeah, I think that's where he dethroned Borchard as well, not too long ago. So, is the McLaren going to have a go? No, I think Morant realises that one is done. Denks has been on a charge for quite a while, and whilst they were fighting, they've actually gained a bit of time on McCall. I think McCall is playing the strategy. He's not pushing his car too hard. Again, probably with the thirstier nature of the Mercedes, is may well just saying, look, I'm not going to be trying to push for lead times here. Oh, the leaders are with that blue Bentley. That's the one with a bit of paper stuck to its front grille, as I mentioned earlier. That's the number 5 car. That's, again, well done. They're staying very much out of the way. Is that Harry is that Harry, perchance? Was that him in the blue Bentley? I've forgotten now. Mr. No Surname, as Van der Horn has come in, the number 13 Mercedes has brought his car in. Oh, we've got a black McLaren that's close to the, I think that's our pad warrior that I made. Yeah, you can see by the way that the nose is twitching, it's a bit of a digital input there. And fair play, they're taking part in these races. Was that the 55 car? No, it can't be. 55 is an Aston. Yeah, never mind. So, lead pair continuing their dance and looking at, wow, Danks is now 1.2 seconds to the good in 4th position. So he's really just running off down the road. I wonder if he's going to be having to go, oh, is this a move from the Porsche at last? Oh, well, that was a much tighter line. Is he deciding now, with the pit window still open for another 11 minutes, he's had enough of these tyres? All right, fine, I'm now going to start to hustle. Is he now going to start to try and make the moves? That was a definitive, that was a very different line. He opted to try, whether he was trying to make the move, only he knows, but he most certainly took a different line there to really make himself obvious to the Bentley of Ryan Cooper. Well, are we going to see Sam Bagnall challenge for the lead at last?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's pushing, as I said, he's definitely pushing, he's definitely keeping Cooper honest, but he's just maybe getting that little bit impatient. He can see the pit window ticking down, and he was maybe hoping that Cooper was going to pit a little bit earlier so that he could take advantage of a couple of laps in clean air to maybe go just a little bit faster and manage to, get the overtake done in pits. But it's looking like these two are going to be pitting very close together, and it's it'll all be down to whether they can hit that pit box just right. Because make no mistake about it, Chris, if you don't line your car up just perfectly when you come into the pits in ACC, the technicians, that your car is pushed back into position before they complete the pit stop, before they carry out the pit stop, so it can cost you anything up to 2 or 3 seconds of extra time just to get the car in the right position. So it's driving etiquette, driving skill, precision. It's even in the pit lane, they've got to hit their marks and they've got to get in that pit box, otherwise a race can be won and lost in a pit stop.
That it can. A few more pit stops going on. Tor Vikoski is coming in. He's brought the 65 Bentley in, along with Williams, the 797 Aston, the lead Aston Martin of the race. They both serving their mandatory stops now. I reckon Bagnall will probably have if the Bentley hasn't pit by lap X, I'm coming in, but I reckon he'll want to go 1 lap later than race leader. Like you said, I think he'll want that clean air. It really depends on how many back markers are around. As we now look at Junior McCall in the 44 Mercedes, some way down, but we'll see how much. Now, it's going to be interesting if he puts up much of a fight to hang on, where's he gone? Where's Tanks gone? Where's he gone?
In P4.
Oh, sorry, I got confused because the tower was scrolled. I was looking for him further down. He's still in P4. My mistake, I beg your pardon. I thought we'd lost him for a minute. As we're looking at Camber Mattia, the Italian, in the Audi, as he's just gone past Piscatini in the Ferrari. That's for 15th. They've been through the pits. So they're on very fresh tyres, bit of a lighter car, so we can imagine them to be charging on as they've just gone past one of the lapped Aston Martins. Keep an eye on them. And again, we don't know how the strategy is going to play out as Moran, the 137 McLaren's come in, so he's opted to not be hustled by the BMWs. He's opted now to come in. Now we're going to see. Like I said, I reckon Bagnall is going to come in he wants to come in 1 lap after Cooper, but if Cooper's going to pit right at the death of the pit window, that's not going to be an option for him. So we'll see how the Porsche's strategy plays out as we just see the McLaren coming back out of the pits. There is our lead 2. Still no sign of the pit being used. Hopefully they have remembered it's a mandatory pit. I've seen it happen. We've all seen it happen. People pitting outside the pit window because they haven't got their timings right or forgetting there's a pit stop entirely. Is it disqualification if they don't pit in the window?
It can be, yeah. You can set it server side so that you see where the green strip is down the right hand side of the red numbers, the car number. Normally that would say it would be amber, and it would say number one for one mandatory pit to serve, and then it would only go green once they've served it, but that has to be set up server side. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear to have been set up, otherwise we would have known exactly who had taken their pit stops and who hadn't, and then if they don't take their pit stops, if it's set up server side, they would automatically get a big time penalty at the end of it, so that it sort of outweighs the fact that you didn't make a pit stop, and it throws you down the order. But at the moment, I think we're racing on trust regarding pit stops.
I mean, the post race that sort of thing can be looked at and reviewed. So yeah, the drivers know that they have to pit. Most people are obeying the pit rule, even if the server's not been set. So, and I've just spotted in chat that it was actually announced at the beginning of the race that the pit stop rules didn't apply. So, whilst the game may not apply it, post race, there will be a penalty applied, as Antonelli McCall and McCall's still. McCall's? Yeah, he's still in the pits. Beg your pardon. And Prentice have also come in.
The leaders are still staying out, Chris. Another 6 minutes to go, so a couple more laps, and then they're going to be forced to make a pit stop. Two and a half. Yeah, depending how quick they get around these next couple of goes. They're currently lapping in the sort of 1:34s still, so they've got time. They could potentially do another 3 laps, but they're going to be pushing it. And I think Cooper's. To be honest, he's aware that if he pits, Bagnall may just try and squeeze a couple of laps. So, as I said at the beginning, I think Cooper's doing the right thing. To be fair, for his position, he knows Bagnall's maybe a little bit quicker, although Bagnall's dropped off the pace a little bit, is now a second behind. But Cooper's doing the right thing. He's staying out there as long as possible, so that Bagnall has no chance to set some hot laps in clean air. It's going to be status quo, and it's going to be down to that precision driving in the pit lane and hitting those markers, and more importantly, not getting a penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Yep, as we've already seen, was first off that had to serve his, as the lead is coming up to the 21 car. That is, I'm going to have a crack at pronouncing this, Sifaratos in the Porsche. You'll no doubt be well aware that the lead. Oh, speaking of penalties, we've just seen another one appear. It's Prentice. Now, he was in the pits. He's done that on the way out, I think, same as first off did. And there he is, the Blues 666 Ferrari. He'll be aware that he's got to serve that stop-go penalty. That's going to plummet. Oh, another one. There was Ewers. He's just been in the pits as well. So the 55 Aston has just done the same thing. There is the black Aston. We saw him being hustled by Denks, I think it was, not too long ago. Oh no! And it's so easy to do. You're that eager and keen to get on with it. And you, of course, drop the limiter that tiny bit too early, and you will be collared for it. Same as real life racing. Doesn't matter whether you're an inch or a yard or a mile away from the where you should be. If you break the rules, you break the rules. Borchardt is in from the top 5 as well. So the 35 BMW coming in to serve his pit stop. 4 minutes left of the pit window, and a drive-through penalty for Piscatelli. Oh no, he was hustling for the top 10. The 67 Ferrari now has a penalty. My goodness me, but that's going to hurt as well. It won't hurt as badly, of course, but that could drop him quite a way down the order. He's going to lose particularly a position to Michaels, to Mullard, to Williams at least. Oh, that's 3 positions up for the offing. But wow, Cooper is really getting on with it. Either Cooper's getting on with it, or Bagnall's now really struggling on those tyres. They don't have long to pit within the window. 2 laps at best.
Yeah, it would appear. I mean, the last lap by Cooper was 1:34.8, and Bagnall's was 1:35.1. And their best laps in this first stint. Cooper's got the advantage there. He'd done a 1:34 as a best lap, and Bagnall 1:34.1, and Bagnall's best lap was a 1:34.4. So Cooper's definitely got the pace. It just seems that Porsche came alive and allowed him to catch up and sort of apply some pressure, but not get past. And Cooper seems to be keeping hold of that pace at the moment, as we see Bagnall is now taking that pit stop.
Yep. Oh, you saw the steering correction there from Cooper. His gamble is paying off. He's got the Porsche off his tail, and now he's ploughing on to try and build up as much of a gap for him to save his stop. Denks is in as well, so 2 of the top 3 have come in, and we're seeing stop goes being served. Has Ewers just done another one? Because I swear he's just come in.
He may well have done. It's not unheard of for them to receive another one while serving the penalty in frustration, and usually that ends in somebody throwing the keys away and packing the car. Yeah, it's a big learning curve with ACC, all the penalties. But like you said, it is all fair. It's automatic, so it is what it is. You know the limitations. Don't break the rules.
Same limitations for everybody. I laugh. I mean no disrespect, of course, because I couldn't keep pace with these. Now, something I'm just going to add. I've just had an almighty crack of thunder outside the window. If I disappear, that is why. Because I do not want to leave this race at all. So we have our two front runners. Bagnall's still in second because, of course, our third place runner has pitted. In comes race leader. Of course, he really had to do it because the pit lane would have closed whilst he was still out there. So now he is in. His pit stop is done. On the left-hand side is Sam Bagnall. He's been in second all day long. That's the 21 Porsche. Get out of the way, which he's trying to do. Hopefully that hasn't held up Sam Bagnall. In fairness, the blue Porsche did that absolutely spot on, but it's just timing. There'll be... If the 38 Porsche, if Sam Bagnall has lost some time, that won't really... There'll be no penalty. It's just slightly unfortunate. That is the nature of the race. So the treble 9 has come to a stop. We didn't see the Bentley roll backwards, so he's got that one absolutely spot on. Now is the opportunity for Bagnall to push on those fresh tyres. Didn't quite see who there was coming through. I bet that was Eula, so he has done it again. That's twice he's been through the pit lane, so he's earned another one. Now goes the treble 9. So Bagnall's just come through Dirt Cano. He's coming through now towards the final turn. Oh, it's going to be close. I think the Bentley's going to do it. Around the final turn, of course, the Porsche is up to speed. The Bentley's going to come off the limiter. That's a long way down. That's what's catching people out, because you can't just do it with the people ends. Oh no, the Porsche's going to have it. I think yes, Bagnall's done it. Bagnall is up into the lead by quite some distance.
Yep, there you go.
Now
there's the pit limiter board. Yep.
Yeah, I bet that's what's called people out, because you kind of go out of the pit boxes and you think that's where the line is.
Wow.
And no, it's much later now. Wow. Oh my goodness, Sam Bagnall has absolutely flown out of the box and has left Ryan Cooper 4.8 seconds.
Well, do you want to know something here now, Chris? I have on my app the time spent in pit lane. Bagnall's pit stop from entering the pit lane to leaving the pit lane was 1 minute 20 seconds .958. Cooper 1 minute 26 seconds .1, so he lost 5 whole seconds in that pit stop. 5 whole seconds he spent longer in the pits.
So he must have missed the pit lane. How is it, unless he let his pit lane limiter go way too late?
Who knows? Bizarre. Who knows? Maybe overcautious, entering the pits. Who knows? Can't blame him for that. But we do have another battle hotting up. Here you go. This is for you, Chris. The Mercedes.
Oh, it's McCollum Danks. Yes, the Merc. Now, interestingly, if the Merc had been saving throughout that first period on the very dead tyres, will it now be unleashed? Because we know how quick Danks has been. But now Junior McCall in the 44 Merc is... Well, you quite clearly see he is hustling hard. The back of that BMW needs a Bentley out of habit there. My goodness me. So, Junior McCall is challenging for the last podium spot. Idas and chances he didn't get the pit box right, so that may well be where he's lost so much time. Oh, that'll be a great shame. If that was the case. I mean, we've seen it happen so many times. It's so easily done in the heat of the moment. And 5.6 seconds, I think, is also a combination. Sam Bagnall has now deployed a very heavy right foot. He's pushing hard in that Porsche. Any fuel he's saved is really now being burnt very effectively. But Junior McCall is now trying to unleash the horses, the German horses, under the bonnet of the Mercedes against these fellow German horses of Danks in the 89 BMW. Now, Danks has dispatched anyone he's come across. Is that now going to bite him because he's been pushing hard all race long? Has he overdone it? Is he now going to have to just be a little bit lighter with the right foot? And is McCall going to capitalise on that? We will see. 20 minutes left on the race. The pit lane is closed. Anyone that has not served the pit stop, you can be in the pit at this point. You must have been in the pit before the pit window closes. Anyone that hasn't done it will get a post-race penalty of some description. But Junior McCall, well, it does look like he means business, but we know how quick that 89 BMW is. That is not going to be an easy task. And it looks like Thorsten Borchardt has got the 137 McLaren on his tail as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and just a sharp intake of breath from me there, because Sam Bagnall's first flying lap, bear in mind his previous best lap was a 1:34.4. His first flying lap after the pit stop was a 1:33.8 point something or other.
Nice.
His last lap was a 1:33.7, so he's going faster and faster compared to Cooper, who's still in the 1:34s. So that is where that gap, as you rightly said, Chris, is opening up, because that Porsche has unleashed all of its horsepower, and yeah, Bagnall is really pushing now. He's trying to extend that gap, break the will of Cooper, and just manage this race for the last 18.5 minutes or so to bring that Porsche home in that #1 spot.
There's a lot of German horses in the top 5, I just realised here. Porsche, 2 BMWs and a Merc. Wow, we just seen Junior McCall there in the 44 just get really crossed up. He's pushing hard. They're now catching a pack. Didn't quite see who that was. I wonder if that's Prentice in the Ferrari we just seen. And there's Ben Mullett in the 77 McLaren. He is with Michaels, the 32 Aston, and Camber, the 556 McLaren, that brown, bronzish coloured one, leading that particular trio. There is Jochen Camber, the Belgian, for Camber Racing. And he's gone hard over to the left-hand side very early on. He wants that racing line. Doesn't want Michaels in that Aston to try and disrupt his line there. That battle, you can imagine, is going to really go on until the checkered flag falls. Now that the pit stops aside, oh, that's wide for Mullett. That's the 77 McLaren going a bit for an exploratory line. Going through the fast right hand of that. That's on the way through Tremonto, I think it is. And there in the background that's Williams in the 797 Aston. So yeah, if these three squabble, they could that could bring him in as well. So a wonderful fight forming here. There is Thomas Morant, the 137 McLaren, was in 4th when Borchardt and Denks were having their fight. Now he's got Thorsten Borchardt right in front of him, really hustling hard. I mean, that pace from Bagnall, that's qualifying pace. I mean, okay, the pole time was a 33.1, I think it was. So, I mean, we're getting to a point where Bagnall in race trim is quicker than a number of drivers are in qualifying. That's the scary realization. As Morant again looks on the inside line of Thorsten Borchardt in the 35 BMW. So again, that McLaren is piling the pressure on. Borchardt did a pretty good job of keeping Denks at bay for a long time. So we know how good he is as a defensive driver. And there, right ahead, is that the McCall Denks fight? No, I think there was a Ferrari involved now. I think there's a backmarker fight that they're catching up to, which is the last thing they want, whilst they are fighting hard for their own position. And there it is. It's that three-way fight that they're not catching that, are they? They can't be lapping that, surely. No, I was going to say that'd be pretty amazing. But we've now got the photo shot of the battle that's the battle for 10th, Camber, Michaels, Mullard, as well as the battle for 5th position between Borchardt and Morant. So the 137 McLaren really trying to pressure hard. Now we're in the final stages of this race. The pit stop's done. The tyres are as good as they're going to get. The car is as light as it's... well, it will get a little bit lighter, obviously. But if everyone's done the fuel calculations correctly, now's going to be the time when people are going to be throwing caution to the wind and really trying to get the moves done. They're not playing the longer game anymore. There's no time for that. As these two are catching a back marker. Who are they catching? That's a Porsche. That's the 21. That's Zefaratos. They're catching up to. Wow, he's been pretty good at getting out of the way. Oh, he's trying to stay wide as the BMW cut back underneath him. Oh, no, he's getting a little bit close. That's the 137 trying to get the inside line on Thorsten Borchardt. It didn't come off this time, but again, you see he's trying different lines, trying to break the rhythm of the 35 BMW. Who's that? That's a Ferrari ahead. Couldn't quite see the number on that one. Oh, wow, this three-way fight. That's the battle of a 10th. As the 32 car, that's Michaels, has briefly gotten into the lead of it, so that's a mistake from Camber. That's a side by side between the two McLarens. The Aston has gone into there. Wow, there's a battle of the British going on here. Now Camber has been in the lead of this particular trio. He now is the tail end of it. That could be just one single mistake they made, and that's back markers behind this. Well, no, big pardon, there's one back marker behind them. The Aston is Williams. That's the 797 Aston. So he could. That's the position for him. That. Oh, now was that? Oh, that's back. Is that Bagnall coming through?
That's Bagnall coming through.
That's Bagnall coming through. That's a back marker Porsche. My goodness me. Begging your pardon, we haven't seen Bagnall for ages. They'd forgotten what his colours were. My word. So that wasn't a mistake from Camber. He's letting the race leader through. Well, the race leader's got 6 seconds to the good, so he can afford to be caught up in some back markers. But Camber, my goodness, what happened to him? We didn't see, if it was a mistake or what it was. And there is Williams. That's the 797 Aston. He's taking full advantage of the fact that Zafaratos was in this fight as well. Oh, and that's the battle for 5th still going on as they get round a back marker Ferrari, 67. That's Piscatelli. My goodness me, he wasn't. Well, he could score 15th position out of a field of 28, a back marker. That kind of tells you how badly his race has gone, because he was right up there, he was well within the top 10. But he had a penalty to serve earlier on, and his race has not gone well. So, a bit of a shame for the Italian, but us on board with the McLaren. That's Tom Morant in the 137. You can see the lines he's doing and the driving, the steering input he's doing, and he's forced the BMW to a bit of a mistake, but not enough room to capitalise on that. Thorsten Borchardt really feeling the pressure now from Morant. Now, Borchardt held off Dents, as mentioned, for a long, long time, so he's used to defending. As they're catching another back marker, that's an Audi. They're catching up to, and I think he's trying to stay out of the way. Oh, this could be a bit awkward. Who is that? Oh, the Audi's trying to stay out of the way. I think that's first off. They've just gone past, and he was trying to get out of the way. He was a little bit. What he should have done was stay to the right hand side, not the left, because he actually stayed on the racing line. But oh well, never mind. Benefit of hindsight and all that. It's easy for me to say from the commentary box. At times like that, when the commentary box seat is even more comfy.
Absolutely, we're all experts. Oh no! You're not seeing it.
Commentator's curse on Moran. Yeah, he's just. He's pushed a little bit too hard, and the rear has let go on him. That's such a great shame, but he's got the pace to close that back down. Only 12 minutes to do it. And now see Ben Mullard in the 77 car hustling. That's the 32. That's Michaels. That's the 10th position. He wants that top 10 spot. And he's got Camber now that's about a second behind. He's being challenged by the 797 of Williams. That battle was already going on when we last looked, but Mullard is now really planting the right foot. He's challenging the Aston for that 10th spot. Oh, it's all kicking off. Well, there hasn't really been a lull. It's been fights going on everywhere all race long. That's not a complaint, believe you me.
Yeah, and second place Cooper is just coming up behind the tail end of this duel between these 4 cars, as it were. Double battle here, and he's just going to have to now try and find his way through his Cooper, as he's passed one, as we see him there, and he's obliged there, and he's just coming up on the back of Camber now, and then Mullard. Hopefully they'll move out of his way as obligingly as the last car and let him get through. But yeah, it's always difficult when you come up against back markers. He's passed 2 of them now, and he's clear. But Bagnall's 6.5 seconds up the road. It has to be said, it's definitely 11 minutes to go. Bagnall's race to lose, isn't it?
Definitely, as Tim Williams trying to capitalise on the fact that Camber was a bit out of position, letting the second place Bentley through. Couldn't quite pull it off though. The McLaren fending off the Aston. The battle of the British still going on for these spots. Mullard still fighting Michaels. Camber is still fending off the advances of Williams. My goodness me. I think the rest of the field, as far as position are concerned, are fairly spread out, but after an hour of racing, we still have quite a few cars are still in contention for positions. That is brilliant to see. Sam Bagnall, what a race he's run, stayed nailed to the back of the Bentley all race. Oh my goodness, that's Dave Michaels. That's been rather unceremoniously shunted out of the way. That was Ryan Cooper. Now, whether there was a bit of a misunderstanding there, it looked like there was impact from the camera. Not quite sure if there were, but Ryan Michaels, I think, may well have assumed that Ryan Michaels, I'm now muddling up names. Ryan Cooper, beg your pardon, may have assumed that David Michaels was letting him through, whereas David may have just made a little bit of a mistake and then not realised there was a wild Bentley on the inside line, as he's now making his way past Mullard, who has claimed that 10th position. Again, that may well have been, as a result of their fighting that's swapped those two round. The treble 9 car now through those back markers with a bit of clear air ahead of him, and that's allowed Dave Michaels to close back in on Mullard, the 77 car. So that fight still isn't resolved. There it is for 10th position. The 32 car now back on the tail of the McLaren, and right behind them, Camber and Williams still really haven't resolved their fight for 12th either. So it's a pair of battles going on there, with just over 9 minutes left to resolve it.
Yeah, absolutely. It can all go wrong, and it can all go right in the last 9 minutes now. The guys will be watching the fuel gauges and doing some quick calculations in their head. They'll be second guessing how much fuel they've put in. They'll be trying to convince themselves they've got enough and they don't have to do any fuel save. But it's at that point of the race now where we're entering into that jeopardy stage. Like I say, even if you're not battling, you'll be second guessing how much fuel you've got in. Can you get to the end? You don't want to make any mistakes. Even for even for our leader currently, that's Bagnall. He'll be going through all the same thought process. He'll be trying to just put those laps in. It has to be said, his pace has dropped off a little bit. He's now doing laps of 134s, but he's got no pressure. He did a 134.1 on the last lap. Cooper was a 134.5. So he's consistently faster than P2 at the moment. P2 Cooper definitely safe from Denks, isn't he? He's a good 13.5 seconds ahead of Denks in third. So the podium looks relatively, dare I say it and put a curse on him, but looks relatively safe at the moment, as McCall he's about nearly 9 seconds off that third place. So with just under 8 minutes to go, it's looking pretty set at the top. It's there. They're all in the positions. It's up to them to get it home now, and it's their races to lose now.
We'll find out if anybody is staring at their fuel gauge, willing it to go a few litres higher than what is actually reporting. But we will say it doesn't look like anybody is drastically slower than where they were before. So no one seems to be playing Russian roulette with their fuel gauge just yet. There's still time for that to change. But you heard it here first, folks. If the podium 3 does change, it's Steve Proudley's fault. He's blaming that one in you. But still battles to resolve, though. Tim Williams in the 797 Aston still on the back of Jochen Camber in the in the 556 McLaren. They're still having an argument for what is now 12th position, and they're not showing any signs of letting up, are they? So they've done well to keep the tyres good and the fuel tank as much as they need, because you don't want to be carrying more litres than you want to, but you need enough to see the checkered flag. And we've all seen it, last lap, last corner, whatever it is. Oh, another drive-through, this time for the 26 car. It's Humphreys in the Bentley, has had too many excursions off track and has himself a drive. Oh, wow, that's Tim Williams. Had a slap on the anchors there. Now, it looked like Campbell was thinking a bit of a different line in the McLaren to what Williams was wanting to do in the Aston. It looked like he had to really brake hard there. We've got a yellow flag out there for something, because we can't see what. As someone had a bit of an excursion off somewhere. Humphreys serving his drive-through straight away, 30 seconds ahead of first off. We'll see if he's able to retain. He should retain that position if that timing is still correct. 6 minutes of the race still to go. It looks like most of the fights, bar this one, has now resolved. Mullard, so he swipes some distance behind Camber Mattia, so we're not going to see a challenge there for 9th place. 1.6 behind between the 77 and 32 cars. That's Mullard and Michaels. The battle for 10th position looks like it's fairly resolved. So the Aston, oh, now then, that's going to cost you, Mr. Williams. He stuck a little bit too close to that inside line. That's gonna, and you can see what it's cost him. That's a little bit frustrating, a little bit too impatient, perhaps. You can see the timer is counting down. I've seen it as well, where people calculate, oh, I need, say 35 laps worth, and the leader has gone too quick and handed another lap onto the race. I've seen that happen before. So again, hopefully, no one is counting on the leader, adding another lap onto the count. Like I say, I've seen that. I've seen people run out of fuel because the leader was too quick. Oh, that'll be what the yellow flags are for. That's the Ferrari. I've forgotten who was driving the blue. Was it Prentice that was driving the blue one? I think it is.
Yeah,
the
I think it was.
car.
Yeah, I think it was a 666. It was not having a terrible race, putting in some good moves. We saw a couple of good overtakes early on, but yeah, for whatever reason, he's parked up unceremoniously at the side, and unfortunately causing a yellow flag to be waved in that sector. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Yeah,
he's returned to the pits now, so I wonder if he is the first to fall to the fuel tank. We don't know. Of course, we don't know what the reason was. The car looked like he was in the right shape. Oh, that's Deggs coming through the field. He's coming past the 797 Aston. So Tim Williams just needs to bleed a little bit out of the throttle, which he's done. He'll slot right behind. And yeah, ran out of fuel. We just had confirmation of Prentice in, or someone in chat at least is saying that the 666 Ferrari has run out of fuel. As indeed the first victim of the fuel tank roulette. Oh dear, oh dear. It's a shame when it happens. It's happened to the best of them. Oh, Sim Williams trying to argue with the McLaren. Oh, into the final bend. Oh, this is definitely not resolved. That is the Bentley behind. That's for position. That's Thelazycamel. So that could become a three-way fight before the checkered flag falls. So this battle for 12th has just gotten even hotter again. Wow. What can happen here? So Jochen Camber in the 556 McLaren. Tim Williams in the 797 Aston Martin, and Thelazycamel in the 65 Bentley. And there is the Bentley. He's been gaining on this fight for a while now. Has he got enough tyres left? Has he got enough fuel left? 3 minutes to go until that checkered flag falls, to the relief of some, to the dismay of others. It looks like there's an argument going on for 18th position as well. Oh, there's an Aaron Audi in the way. Who was that? I couldn't quite see who it was. Oh dear, that's Chris Humphries doing a bit of lawn mowing there with the Bentley. Now, he was right with first off. Ah, that's who the Audi was. So the 26 Bentley has run away from the Audi. So that Aaron Audi was just talking off is the Trouble 5. I think it was first off that we just saw. So they were very, very close together, but sadly, first off has made a mistake. There is our race leader, in case you've forgotten where he is, or who he was. 2 laps to go for the 38 Porsche, who just really has not put a foot wrong. He's done brilliantly well to maintain at least 7.6 seconds. He can pretty much ignore top gear at this stage and still come home in the lead. And McCollum and Borchardt are still close together for 4th, I've just seen, on the tower. So the lead Mercedes and the second BMW, the 44 and 35 cars, are still in pretty close proximity. So we might see a late charge from Thorsten Borchardt against Junior McCall to see if he can wrestle that 4th place from him. Of course, that fight we were looking at, Williams and Thelazycamel, still very close together. Camber does look like on the tower he's managed to get himself a bit of breathing space. So then, where to look? There is Thomas Morant, the Belgian, in the 137 McLaren. Oh, that's someone getting out of the way. That's who is that? Couldn't quite see on the number who that was, trying to stay out of the way, but nicely done. As Thorsten Borchardt, there he is, and there's Junior McCall in the Mercedes. Oh, wow, that's very deep for the BMW. That might have earned him a warning for track limits. Not exactly sure. And right behind him is Morant in the McLaren. Oh, we're seeing another potential problem with the fuel tank. The Mercedes is a little cautious getting out of that left-hander. Flash of the lights, that's not going to help you. That's for position. I mean, you can do that, but Junior is not obliged to let you go. That's on board the Merc. You can't see anything ahead, but you can certainly see that big old BMW, very big in his mirrors, with the lights blazing away. Less than a minute until the checkered flag is being readied. And that's the view back from the 44 car, looking at Borchardt and Morant chasing him hard. I think McCall is having to feel safe at this stage. He's lost a huge amount of time over these two, but can he defend? He's going to want that checkered flag immediately, but it ain't going to be there when he gets over the line. One more lap for McCall, still flashing at the lights from Thorsten Borchardt as I can't get my names out, as McCall bounces over the sausage goes on the outside line. Oh, the BMW having a look on the inside of turn 1, but can't quite get it done. I think McCauley's having to fuel save because he just cannot run away from that BMW unless he's chewed his tyres up. But I would imagine it's the fuel tank as the McLaren now has a look. This is a wonderful battle for 4th place that's come about in the final lap. Oh my goodness, can Thorsten Borchardt do it, or will Tim Moran in the 137 spoil the day? Mercedes versus BMW versus McLaren. Well, Germany versus England, I'm not even going there. But, that's getting very close. But the top honours are going to go to the 38 Porsche unless he bins it now, which is highly unlikely. Just one more turn to do. And right ahead of him is another battle. Your winner for the 1 hour of Misano is the number 38, Sam Bagnall for Purple Line Racing in the Porsche, has taken the top spot. Brilliantly driven. That was Camber Mattia that was a lap down. My goodness, he lapped everybody up to 9th place. Ryan Cooper takes 2nd spot, and Denks in the 89 is going to take that 3rd position when we see him cross over the line. There's more back markers coming over. Where is the BMW? Well, this battle before there's still going on. Oh my goodness me, the 44 Mercy's just about hanging on in there. Who's going to claim it? The BMW has a look at the inside line. A bit of a desperate move. Here comes the McLaren. It looks like Julian McCall will take 4th, but who's going to take 5th? The McLaren. Is he going to get the BMW? That is so close, but not quite by a 10th of a second. Thorsten Borchardt, Mercedes has flown off the road. Thorsten Borchardt, he just fends off Moran for 5th position. My goodness me, cars parked all over the place. What a finish, side by side. After an hour's worth of racing, what more can you ask for a great track, great cars, great race?
Yeah, absolutely didn't disappoint that one, did it, Chris? I mean, obviously, it's as we said, it's our first outing with the community, with the SimZone. A fantastic group of drivers there, some awesome battling. Hopefully, we get asked back again. I'd love to do that again and get to know some of these drivers because, yeah, some really good overtakes, some good battling, some fantastic strategies, and some. It has to be said, you know, early on, Cooper was really soaking up the pressure from Bagnall, but Bagnall kept his cool, did what he needed to do, and absolutely killed his pit stop. And unfortunately, Cooper just made that little bit of a mistake that cost him the race. It would have been interesting if he had have made that pit stop spot on to you know, see where he came out, and we may have had a closer battle for the lead. But yeah, Bagnall, once he got his head down, he was not going to be caught, was he, this evening?
Certainly not. A great effort from Sam Bagnall. Ryan Cooper, brilliant stuff. Stole that pole position right at the death of the qualifying. Couldn't quite keep the thunderous force of Sam Bagnall at bay. And also Denks as well in that BMW. That wonderful fight he had with fellow BMW of Borchardt earlier on. Got him the last podium spot. But well done to all of our drivers as well. Great fights we saw throughout the series, throughout the whole grid, really. It was non-stop action beginning to end, but that is going to wrap things up for this evening. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream and those catching up post-event. Always a great pleasure to have you along for the ride. Thank you very much to the SimZone for hosting this great event. What a fantastic race it was. Thank you very much to our drivers for putting on a great performance. And of course, thank you very much to you, Steve Bradley, for being in charge of the stream. A wonderful, wonderful production, good sir, and for getting a few words as well around me, my blethering on. My name's been Chris Buxton. Thank you very much to those that have been with us. We'll hopefully see you again very, very soon. But until then, thank you very much, and good night!